Hello, everyone. Give us about, looks like 2 more minutes and we'll start the meeting. We have everybody here. It is a full quorum. That's great. So just 2 more minutes, relax. Thank you. I would like to call to order the City Council meeting of Haslet, July 19th, 2021 at 7:02 p.m. There is a quorum present. All members are present. So we will commence. We'll go to item 2, invocation and pledge of allegiance. You bow with me. Thank you, Almighty Father.
This conference will now be recorded.
I'm sure he's listening. Thank you, Lord, for all the many blessings that you bestowed on us and our fair towns, our city of Haslet. We thank you for your guidance and your understanding. Lead us all. In Jesus' name, amen. And if you stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3, items of community interest. I have none stated here specifically. Is there anything that anybody has that might be of interest? Very good. Okay. Item 4, citizen participation and comments. Now's your opportunity. If you'd like to speak to the council on any topic that you so desire, then now's the time to do that, or add a particular item on the agenda. But nonetheless, we do have 2 that have submitted. Miss Kathy Brandon. Be sure to state your address.
Can you hear? Kathy Brandon. I live at 213 Bain Road, and I'm a 36-year citizen here. Council and Mayor, this is pertaining to the previous meeting on July the 6th. I felt like 3 council members and other city representatives acted unprofessionally during the council meeting of July the 6th, particularly in discussion of item 9. To make such statements as you did in the public meeting rather than in a discussion in private, I felt was a poor decision. Had council members and city officials handled the situation correctly in 2012 that involved the former mayor, the situation would not have come up. According to the NLC, the National League of Cities, council members are responsible for and are supposed to be representative to the citizens who elected them. You're not representing the citizens when you conduct business like that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Brandon. Next item, Mr. Quinn, you have a letter that was submitted.
This is from Mike Rhodes, 211 Thistle Drive, Haslet, Texas, 76052. It grieves me to see the acrimonious disrespect, grandstanding, maneuvering, and seemingly coordinated undermining what the citizens of Haslet have overwhelmingly expressed that they want the future of Haslet to look like. As citizens, we want and expect leaders to respectfully listen, consider, and transparently represent the wishes of their citizens. The role each of you are playing, posturing, is creating a hostile, combative, divisive, undermining culture, all of which is contrary to what is in the best interest of our citizens and community. Further, it is disheartening, discouraging, and embarrassing to watch and listen to. We, the citizens, feel as though our voices are being disregarded and dismissed. It is my hope that you each will rethink how you come across to the public you serve. There is a public trust crisis based upon the things observed and heard by elected officials and city officers. We expect better. I'm asking that this be read into the records for the next city council meeting under public comments on July 19th, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Quinn. Item 5, staff reports to update on active items, projects, and event recaps. Intermodal Parkway street closure. Who's got that? James?
Stephen, do you have yeah, just the staff. In the packet, there's a requested closure for a repair of the train tracks over at Intermodal by, let's see, that's their recommended closure there for the train crossing there at Intermodal. If there's any questions.
I had a question, and Jim, I was asking you about it. Maybe a follow-up is that they said that they would close this down on an approximate date of 8/2. Is there anything firmer than that? Can they get a little closer than approximate?
Not that's all the information I was given about it.
Is that plus or minus a week, or any idea? Okay, I'm just I was just concerned about school traffic or anything, if they should start in the latter part of the month instead of the first part of the month. That was my only concern.
Yeah, I don't think that's part of any of the bus routes and was not anticipated to disrupt any kind of school traffic.
Okay, very good. So, Intermodal, if any of you drive semis, it'll be shut down. Our next item, City Secretary position. Jim?
Yes, sir. Job description has been drafted. It's under review. As I stated last meeting, this is a very difficult position to describe because we had to pull out a lot of things that were in the job description that were administrative services aspects of it. We pull those out. We're trying to get it down to exactly what the local government code says a city secretary should do. So we're working on that.
You can take the next item, 5C.
Yes, sir. Update on planning development director position. The job ad has been created and vetted, and we expect that to be advertised pretty soon in the the Texas Planning Association website and also the TML Career Center website. 5D update on permit tech position. The staff interviewed candidates on Friday, and one was selected as a very good candidate. Currently, that person has submitted information regarding a criminal background check, and once we get that back, then we'll tell that person to go and get a drug screen. So we're very close on that, and hopefully we'll have someone in place by the beginning of August.
5E,
I have a
James?
question real quick, sorry.
Sure.
You said the beginning of August for the permit tech. Is there a timeline on the city secretary or planning and development director as of now? Is there a
The
timeline?
we
the
haven't
timeline on the
advertised it
director
yet.
of planning position is October, is a date, and the city secretary will vary regarding when we get the job description done and when we get the advertisement written.
Five E, the spoils pile behind the fire station, James?
We think we've tentatively found somebody that will take the pile behind the fire station, and we're waiting on them to make sure they can feasibly get that trucked and accept all that, but tentatively we think we have somebody at no cost taking it.
When will they confirm it?
We were supposed to have an answer late today, but we did not get that. We'll check again in the morning. There was no availability for today, but within the week I would think we'd have a hard answer of whether they're taking that or not.
Very good. Do you know if we're still going out with requests for quotes to haul that pile away in parallel us to finding somebody?
I know we have at least one solid quote from the contractor doing the work on Haslet Park. I do not know if we have any other, if anybody's reached out for.
So has that been advertised?
No, it has not been advertised. The first thing we need to do is develop a request for proposals and advertise that, and then give a firm date regarding when we expect proposals to be back, and then we will evaluate them.
Could you take the lead on that, Jim?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Thank you. 5F, fire department parking lot.
As I understand, the contracts have been executed. I believe the last meeting was indicated that Mayor Halsey had signed those documents. They had indeed not been signed. They were executed subsequently by me. The contractor, all of his insurance has been gathered and received, and we are just waiting for a pre-construction meeting with the contractor to go over the details of the work to be done.
Okay, 5G's 2021 budget workshop summary sheets update. Marcy has incorporated all the changes, and that's what that is, to show you the reflection of those changes we had in the workshop. Marcy, any more comments to that or anything you'd like to make?
No, I believe that all of the changes were outlined in an email that went out also. But I can answer any questions about any of the changes if anybody had any. You should have the page 11, which is the general fund summary, and then page 165, which is the changes for the water and sewer fund, and then the capital items worksheet.
I had one question, but now I can't find where it was. On the vac truck, I thought I saw the leasing amount included, the possible leasing amount.
Yes. There was a quote, and the quote was for a 5-year lease, and the monthly lease payment was annual lease payment was $68,077. And so all in for the total of the lease, it was going to amount to about $540,000.
Okay. Boards and commissions, we have nothing there. Item 7, monthly reports. Do we have any questions on the monthly reports?
I have one. I don't know if you can answer, Mr. Tucker. On 7L, it said that y'all met with a contractor on 7/14 with Haslet Park. Do they have a timeline? They were actually working today, so I didn't know if they had given you a timeline on transitioning their work.
Yes, so starting today, they were restoring the asphalt driveways. They've already done all the concrete ones. There's a couple that have some damage disputes, whether they had, caused damage. So they're looking at pre-video for just 2 of those, but all the concrete driveways have previously been restored. Today they were prepping all the asphalt portions. Tomorrow and Wednesday they should be restoring all the asphalt, and then they will go back with redoing the edging. So, and I think they were supposed to also be removing the concrete washout spoils that are in the lanes. They're supposed to be removing those as well.
I had a comment I wanted to make on item 7G, and it's from the Permit Inspection Monthly Report. As I was reviewing that, and I just want to make a point, is because I think most everybody is under the impression when they move past that elementary that's the old school building was being repurposed for administration and / training for administration and or teachers. And in fact, and it's being used for another purpose altogether. It is according to the inspection report, is for a disciplinary alternative education facility. And that's half of it. And the other half is some other kind of adult disability training program. So I'm just making a point. It was being used for a purpose that the council and the public here was told differently. And I just saw that out of the monthly inspection report. Any other items on the monthly reports? If not, we'll go to the consent agenda. Consent agenda. We have the regular city council meeting of July the 6th, special council meetings of July 12th and 13th, which were our budget workshops. And I know Mayor Pro Tem Morrow has a comment to make here.
I just noticed on 8B that the break time wasn't recorded, but Ms. Rice sent that in, so that'll be corrected. That was
Well, let's say we need to tell the public what it is.
I don't have that email you sent me pulled up.
And this was on July 13th.
On 8B.
On 8B is July 12th. I thought it was, where I saw it was July 13th meeting minutes. Can we pull up that PDF?
So the email said, Mayor Halsey called for a break at 7:49 p.m., meeting reconvened at 8:19, and that Ms. Rice would add those to the minutes. And I believe that's July 12th.
Would you read that again? I didn't hear your...
On July 12th, we took a break that wasn't recorded in the minutes. 7:49 was the break, and meeting was reconvened at 8:19. And it was noted in 8C, so that's the only reason I looked for it in 8B.
I didn't see that one. What we got was an email regarding item on July 13th meeting minutes having to do increasing the tax by 3.5%. That's the one I'm speaking of. I know nothing about what you just spoke of.
I emailed for 2 corrections, so I apologize. So that was one correction with the break. And then you're right, the second one was on 8C. And where I read was, in order to provide the requested items, a tax increase that would go over by 3.5% would require a special election, which as I read that, it sounded like it was going to go over by that versus.
It's the third paragraph if anybody's looking at the screens.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be, and Mayor Pro Tem Morrow's correct, go over by 3.5%. It's just, it would exceed 3.5%. Right. Now, can we go back to the meeting minutes? So first, let's address this one since we have it up. So all in favor of amending the minutes? Show of hands, please. Oh, well, let me have a motion. Let me have a motion, please.
So do you want to do?
Well, let's do this one we're looking at now, which is 8C.
So I make a motion to accept the amended minutes on 8C to read that would exceed the 3.5% tax increase.
So the motion is to amend the minutes to read exceed 3.5% in lieu of by 3.5%. Is there a second? There is a second. All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, if we could go to item B now, if you'd pull that agenda, the minute meetings up, and Mayor Pro Tem Morrow, guide us to where you're speaking of.
So in the July 12th minutes, no break time was recorded. So if it would, I make a motion to approve the minutes for the July 12th meeting with the called for break by Mayor Halsey at 7:49, and the meeting reconvened at 8:19.
Okay, there is a motion to include the break time, and do you have those times documented there? Repeat them again.
7:49 p.m. and reconvene at 8:19 p.m.
Okay, 7:49 p.m. and 8:19 p.m. Is there a second? There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Very good. Thank you. Proof in the pudding. Mayor Pro Tem Morrow reads this stuff.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve item 8A as presented.
Motion is made to approve item 8A as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Very good. Item 9, public hearings, ordinances, resolutions, and action items. 9A, discuss, consider, and act on a mutual aid agreement with Fort Worth Fire Department for fire medical coverage on the west side of the city and amending the fiscal year 2020 to 2021 budget to fund said contract in the amount of $30,000. At this point, I would like to introduce to you Chief of the Fort Worth Fire Department, Chief Jim Davis. Thank you, sir. And Chief, you want to take off with it? Just give them a small presentation what this is.
Sure. Mayor, members of council, thanks for having me this evening. As stated, my name is Jim Davis. I am the fire chief in Fort Worth. Been here for about 3 years. When I arrived here, I very quickly met a lot of the suburban chiefs that I work with every day, including your chief, Kurt Mays. Kurt's become not just a professional colleague, he's been very welcoming and very receptive to teaching me and growing me in this community. And so I'm indebted to him, and I appreciate his professionalism and his friendship. And I want to get that out to all of you. He's a good soul, and he represents your city very well. Our first opportunity to work together was with our relationship with MedStar, and then very quickly transitioned to the Alliance Airport growth. And as you all realize, the city of Fort Worth is growing up very quickly and becoming the 12th largest city in the United States, and that creates a lot of complexity in the region, and so does the opportunity to work together at Alliance. And it's my understanding that there had never really been that working relationship before, not just with Haslet, but with a lot of other departments throughout the area. And with the support of David Cook and Valerie Washington, my assistant city manager and city manager, as well as Mayor Price, I sat down with them and I spoke about cooperation and collaboration in the region and increasing communication and opportunity to work together. And that was actually met with a lot of positivity. They saw the need, they saw the opportunity, and specifically the need with the folks at Alliance on both sides of the airport, on the Fort Worth side as well as the Haslet side. And so that gave Kurt and I an opportunity to sit down and work together on a mutual aid agreement. And I think it's worked very well. It's worked very well for both cities. And we, I don't know, Mayor, was about 2 weeks ago, we all sat down and we had a conversation about some of the challenges and the complexity off of Bonds Ranch, and as the growth on the west side of Haslet and further out on the west side of Fort Worth goes on, and some of the complexity that the railroad crossing down there creates. There's area of your city that, tonight, as we stand right here, there's 3 Fort Worth fire stations within about 4 miles of this facility here. So the city of Fort Worth, as it grows and it comes north, we've had the opportunity to put our fire stations in strategic places that I think is a good opportunity to work together and to help on the west side of the railroad crossing. And so when we sat down and talked, the question was whether or not Fort Worth would be in a position where we were able to offer that as a intermediate step to future opportunities for regionalization and consolidation. City of Fort Worth, I went back and spoke to my assistant city manager about it. A lot of positive opportunity in that conversation, and given the permission to move forward. Chief Mays has been working with my assistant fire director to amend the contract currently as a draft for consideration of your council here, and I think that it's an opportunity for us to make sure that we're sending the closest, most appropriate asset to the needs of communities both in Fort Worth and in Haslet on a moment's notice, and make sure that we have the opportunity to work together. Our relationship was actually tested back in February during the storms. You know, there were things that we all experienced with lack of water at some point and lack of electricity at others, and the fire departments of the city of Fort Worth and Haslet really worked well together and demonstrated what a good community collaboration could look like in times of need for the community. So I just see it as the opportunity to say to you that there's good relationships, there's good communication, and to me, this is a common sense next step. And Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Very good. First off, I want to give a shout out to Chief Kurt Mays. I see him here. He's remoting in to take a view of what's happening. Anyway, what we're asking for in this item, Council, is $30,000 for the remainder of this fiscal year, and that would fund 15 calls, and this service is on a per call basis. We don't pay $30,000 up front. We pay as we go. It'll be billed monthly, semi-annually, annually, whatever the case is. But the other is asking for your approval to execute this contract when it is finalized and after our attorney has reviewed it. So that's what we're asking for here, is both the $30,000 that we retain and use on the per call, and authorization to execute the contract after Rob Alabon's review. Any questions about the service? Anything for Chief Davis?
I have a question. So it's 30,000 for 15 calls. So if it goes over, you charge per call, or how does that work?
If it goes over, we'll pay that over. But that would be a really, Chief Mays did the research, and he said over the last 18 months, they've made 16 calls. Is that correct? That's correct. He's okay. So in 18 months' time, there's been 16 calls made. But we're to play the safe side, and with school being commenced here in end of this month, or rather in August, and all the population growth, of which, geez, if you've seen the permits, it's like over 300 permits. A lot of them are in Laterra. So that place is very active. And if we were to go over, then we'd be coming back to you.
There's nothing else. I'm going to go back and have a seat.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief Davis.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you. And as everything continues to grow, I think there's an opportunity for us to continue talking about other opportunities to work together.
Yes.
As we've discussed previously, that would make things a whole lot more streamlined here in the north part of the city.
Our ultimate goal, as Chief Mason and I discussed with you and relayed to you, is to have the automatic aid program, and that's where, and I'll remind the council, that's where we have an additional 6 full-time firefighters. So each one of our shifts is staffed with full-time firefighters. I think it's a minimum of 3, to run the piece of equipment. But also, we'll be coming to you, in fact, it's on our agenda, or the new budget is funds to purchase equipment and make a transfer to Fort Worth from Tarrant County on our call management. Well, what is that term?
Yeah, it's for dispatching for the
Dispatching.
for fire and working cooperatively with in the relationship between Haslet and MedStar as well. And we currently do that for Saginaw, for Lake Worth. We took on River Oaks as well. Again, on a per call basis, council member that you asked about. And it's only for calls that are actually inside the city of Haslet. You know, when Saginaw, as an example, helps Fort Worth on a mutual aid or automatic request, we don't charge them for that. We're working together in that regard. And what that really does, and I think Chief Mays would agree with me, is that completely streamlines the entire process as far as delays from one call center to another call center, computer transfers to computer transfers, and the delay in dispatching. And as I actually sit representing one of the seats on the Tarrant County 911 board at the county level that helps distribute 911 funding, which is a little bit different than who dispatches your department now. And I assure you that we today had a meeting about some of the long-term funding strategies, some of the long-term opportunities that we need to look at as a region regarding consolidation and cooperation because of the complexity of getting 911 dispatchers and keeping 911 dispatchers from a recruitment retention standpoint, from a human capital standpoint, as far as managing 911 centers and funding the increase in technology as we move towards other things such as text to 911 and such as next generation technology. So there's a lot of stuff coming down the road that is going to really enhance the system, but it's only as good as the cooperation, the collaboration we have as a region. So thanks again for allowing me the opportunity to comment on that.
Well, that's excellent. And, you know, it gives us, I mean, our end goal is true regionalization with regard to emergency medical and fire response. And that'll be a great day when we get there. It might be a little bit of time down the road. But again, I want to bring, with regard to this item, 9A, the dispatch services, that's not in this. This is purely to fund the per call. Now, our dispatch that we have now is not going to be a hindrance. That still works. It's just that next step of dispatch and the firefighters is steps towards our ultimate program and goal. So, any questions with regard to the item that we have before you? If not, can I have a motion?
I'll try to make a motion. I move to have an amendment be made to the FY 2020-21 budget and provide $30,000 to support the mutual aid contract with the Fort Worth Fire Department.
Could we have, along with, to execute the contract after it's been reviewed by our city attorney and approved? Could you amend your motion?
Do you want that in
Yes.
the same motion?
Yes.
Okay. I thought we would do that separately. I move to an amendment be made to the FY 2020. I amend it budget to provide for the $30,000 to support mutual aid contract Fort Worth Fire Department, and after review of our city attorney, to execute the contract for the remainder of the year.
Very good. Thank you. There's a motion been made to provide a $30,000 in funds, as well as authority to execute the contract with the city of Fort Worth upon city attorney's review. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief Davis. Thank you, Mr. Mays, Kurt Mays, Chief Mays. Very good. I'll get it. Item 9B, discuss, consider, and act regarding an office space lease agreement between Haslet Center LLC and amending the fiscal year 2020-21 budget to fund an office space agreement with Haslet Center LLC for the amount of $21,300. And Mr. Chambers, where is he? There he is. I mean, I looked up. Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The item before you was discussed during the budget workshops. as y'all know, the City Hall pre-pandemic, Ms. Buchanan was sharing an office with her assistant. Mike Thetford is still in the computer closet. It's City Hall space is pretty tight when we're fully staffed up, and there has been some discussions on how to remedy that, in the interim and then long term. And one of those items that has been discussed recently at the budget workshop and prior is leasing a storefront that would act as a one-stop shop for planning, permitting, inspections, and economic development. And Mr. Lee has a space that was formerly my credit union that would certainly meet those needs. It has 4 finished offices. I did include some pictures in your packet that show the desks are actually there, and he's leaving them if we lease it, so that we don't have to buy those, but those will be his. And so again, for your consideration, the space is 4 offices. It has window space and a waiting room. Because it was finished out for a credit union, it really very closely matches the desire of having that storefront and then moving those departments together into one location. Mr. Lee was very agreeable on terms for the lease. It's quite a deal. $24.15 a month is the base lease, and then there's triple nets that basically, where's my total? It adds up to $3,100 per month. I've also found the mayor got some good numbers today on the copier that would be required in that space. We looked up for office furnishings, chairs, those types of things, and I feel very comfortable that the $21,300 would finish the rest of this fiscal year if council so desires. And Marcy has in the budget, the proposed budget, those leases going forward. And Mr. Alabon did review the lease that is before you. I'll answer any questions you may have.
I have a comment, counsel, or and it's probably a confession of an oversight on my part. And that's anybody else that went over there to look at it. Do you think this $21,300 here will give us enough to provide for signage?
As soon as you said that, I knew where you were going to go because I have that one picture that says my credit union. I did not look at that, Mayor. I have to admit, I do not know. I don't know within a range what that typically.
Let me ask the council, or actually maybe even anybody in the audience that might know, what would a sign similar to what's out there, on the properties, would how much would that run? How much should we allow for that? But also we got the storefront windows. The information needs to be taken off of it, and if anything else we want painted on it. This is the one item that we have left out.
Mayor, Mr. Lee said probably under $2,000 for good signage on that building, in that space.
All right, so I've got $21,300, $2,000. How about any cost for cleaning up the windows and, there's paint that has to be taken off, lettering and things of that nature? Okay. So as you look at this, council, for all in and to cover all costs for the move-in and any, and make ready for the city of Haslet, I would ask you to consider $21,500.
No, wouldn't that be $23,300?
$23,000. I'm glad you got a pencil out as well as me. Well, that's pretty bad. Well, I just missed it by a decimal place, right?
I have another question. How many people would be in this office?
It is currently configured in 4 offices. I've discussed with Mike when we talk about inspections and code enforcement, there may be the need to share that front office space that Mike said they're never in there at the same time. So again, I discussed that with him. So there may be 5 people if, depending on how the budget process goes, if all positions are approved, there could be as many as 5 people in 4 very sizable offices. And again, plus that up front area.
So we have, I know we started out with the intent of, that would be Mike Tedford. He's the building official and code enforcement. And then we're hiring a second inspector, so they would be in the office there, that office, as well as we'd have the permit clerk there. That's 3, and then we would have you. You would relocate there as well. And so that's 4. So who's the 5th person?
The planning director?
Planning director.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I don't know about that. No one checked with the mayor. I had to go ask him, okay?
You got
Right
it.
now, for sure, our plan is 4 people. The 2 inspectors, the permit clerk, and economic development director.
Yes, sir.
The reason I ask is if do you expect any growth where you're going to need more space in a year or 2?
No, sir.
Okay.
We really don't expect that kind of growth where we would need more people.
You know, with regards to growth, council, you know, I've been looking at that, and we are probably at our peak. We got 6 developments under construction. There's not much other place to put developments anymore. We have a lot of the warehouse space. There's still, you know, warehouses that can be built, but a lot of them have been built already. So as far as staff growth, because of Haslet's development, we are, I would say we're at our peak. Jim, you kind of see that?
I agree, sir. Especially adding the building inspector. We should handle all the subdivision inspections. I can't really see the city growing more residentially because there's very little places to grow. And the warehousing is a different animal, and that doesn't take very much time to inspect because they also have engineers on site doing a lot of the inspections. So I think, Mayor, I think you're pretty well on point on that.
I had 2 questions. I know I had brought up the length of the contract, so I just want to confirm it's 36 months, and then the early termination fee, just hopefully that doesn't happen, but I'll make sure I'm reading it correctly, is pay for 60 days if early termination. That's correct? I think that's what I read. Okay, so $6,200. Okay. And the other question was that they had said 8 to 8 was their time, but it would be our time that we're open as a city, correct?
Yes.
Just checking.
Yes, it would. It'd be 8 to 5. And what we're, you know, at envisioning is it's a one-stop shop. You got permitting, you got the building inspector, you got economic development director there. You know, and the great thing I like about it is, I mean, one, it gets people off the top of each other. The other is it pulls traffic away. That's probably the greatest amount of business we have is permitting and those type of things and inquiries with regard to that. It pulls all that traffic away from the corner of Main Street and 156 and puts it out there. And I think it's that is a benefit. That's a benefit. So I'm ready for a motion if anybody is so inclined.
Yes, I'll give it a crack. I move to approve and amend the Haslet Center LLC in the amount of $23,000 total for the office space lease. 23,300. Sorry.
So there's 2 items here. Is the regard to executing the lease agreement and then the funds also. So
Okay.
your motion, could you amend it so as to reflect the agreement, lease, and the funds?
Okay, I move to amend the amount to 23,300 and to execute the lease.
Okay, the motion's been made to approve the request for $23,000 for this office space. and authorization to execute the lease agreement. Is there a second? There is a second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Staff thanks you. And I do want to make a note to Mr. Wayne Lee. Mr. Wayne Lee's been very generous towards us. I want to thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Item C, 9C, discuss, consider, and act regarding selection of projects to be submitted as part of the Tarrant County interlocal agreement. James?
Yes, this is so each year the county has an interlocal agreement that we can utilize them to do select road projects, and David Rogers had assembled a list of possible options for them to consider for us.
Would you first describe that interlocal agreement? County does what and city does what?
All right, well, to the best of my knowledge, the way that works is the county provides the labor to install all, whatever the project is. We pay for materials, we pay for fuel.
That is it. Jim, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Very good.
As for the first one he submitted on here as a possible project would be the fire station. The fire station driveway, ball field parking lot, and the training area. He recommended to be a chip seal, which from what I understand they don't always take on projects like that. It just depends. It really just depends on what other projects but this is something that they could possibly do. It would just coat the existing driveway where we're having dust control issues, as well as the training area for the fire department and the baseball parking area.
Let me interrupt one thing. I want to remind the council, all of these items are are accounted for in our new budget to fund 100% ourselves. And this is that next step to see if the county will do a portion of the work, sharing that work with us, and that would be our savings. Now, all the projects are accounted for except for one, and that is the
Harmon
Road project. That's an addition to, we don't have that in our budget.
Well, I wanted to clarify just, you're right, it's in our budget, but it's in our possible certificate of obligation that we would accrue debt for these projects. So, I know you're right, it is budget. I'm just saying for the people that are listening, it's not like in our general fund. It would be in the other
No,
side of
I mean,
it.
but the whole aspect is our budget. Yes. But you're correct. Where we'd be funding out of is a new CO, certificate of obligation. And in approving these items, it's not saying, such as Harmon Road, it's not saying, oh, we're going to do the entire road. Actually, I think the Public Works desire is what they'll end up doing is just parts and pieces that need repair in a great way.
Yes, correct. There is a major need for repair on Harmon, but given the current construction projects, there is a worry that that money would not be well spent if it's, for construction traffic, it's basically, tearing up the road that you just paid to do it. There is some significant failures, but that might be not money well spent to do the entire project.
So, sorry, just to clarify, so you're saying that if, as far as the Harmon Road project goes, that would be just, we'd be specifying that it's to repair like the severely damaged portions?
Yeah, there's several options. One, Public Works should do very small portions on the pieces that have significant failures and just address those as they come up and hopefully get us through that time, and then we can relook at for another year to repave that when the construction is substantially finished and they're past that. Or the county could do smaller repairs as a possible project we could recommend.
And that's what we're looking for you here. If you approve, say, the Harmon Road project, then Public Works would bring them in and see, will you do these pieces that are in desperate repair?
The other project is Nance Field. That's the parking lot there as well, and that was also recommended to be a chip seal. sill for the same purpose, just to reduce the dust, as well as the walking path is usually coated with gravel because of the loose material. And the last option was White Lane, and there was 2 sections drawn out here. And those are approximately 2,500 linear feet for Project 1 and 4,500 for Project 2. And that's basically from the base of the hill at White all the way to Bain Road, and then from Bain to Bonds Ranch. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
No questions? If there's no questions, can I have a motion?
So are we going to ask for all of these for consideration, or are we choosing which?
So here's my recommendation. See, and by recommending all of these, that allows gives David Rogers permission to go take all this to the county, and such as, say, Harmon Road. Harmon Road is the only project that we have not accounted for in our budget. But there's some pieces there he's going to have to fix either.
No, that sounds good to me. The bottom says which projects like to request. Now, that's what we've done in the past, is all of them.
I would choose all of them, because all the others we have fully accounted for in our budget. This is cost savings to us if we can, if the county would agree to do it and participate.
I'd like to make a motion. I move for us to move forward to the Tarrant County interlocal agreement projects and recommend all 5 projects.
Motion is made to recommend all 5 projects for the Tarrant County interlocal agreement. Is there a second?
I second that.
There is a second. Call for the vote. It's unanimous. Thank you, council. 9D, Schoolhouse Road closure request for Haslet Hustle. Who has that one?
That's me too. All right, so there's a map provided that shows the proposed route for closure. We've done this in years past, but this is for on October 16th. They're having the 5K fun run and walk, and requires the use of Schoolhouse Road for the return leg of the run. We're just requesting to close down the road between 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. from intersection of Lewis Lane to the south to the intersection of FM 156.
Is this the first time that we're going to use a tap trail for the? No,
we've
we
used
did
it
the
once
opening.
previously,
You're right,
yeah.
the one opening. So.
And this is the same map that was used previously.
Okay. It was a great route. So.
It was very cold, but it was, so this will be different.
All I can say, the route's not long enough. I'll start and finish before anybody else gets there. Just kidding. Very good. Is any discussion there on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the Schoolhouse Road closure request for October 16th.
Motion is made to approve the Haslet or the Schoolhouse Road closure request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, it just looks like there's a discussion item.
Yeah. Can we accommodate the businesses that are normally open? That's a Saturday. I know that, like, for instance, the vet's office is open till noon on Saturday. I think there's other businesses, maybe in Mr. Lee's offices, that also want to be open that day. Can we accommodate that?
If I believe it does not interrupt any businesses in the past, we've managed to allow for limited access, and it wasn't an issue previously.
So let me, you bring up a very good point. You bring up a very good point. So we're closing down all of Schoolhouse Road from 156 to Westport Parkway. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're closing the entire portion there, but there is a very small area that can be used for limited traffic to get to those businesses.
So I assume, so we'll have a bunch of runners, right? So the business end is on the south end where the small strip center is, Mr. Lee's property. So even though the race starts, there's no one down here on this end, on the south end, so business can remain open, correct?
Yes, well, so Mr. Lee's is currently closed and not
Well,
intended to
yeah,
reopen,
Mr.
but-
Lee's is closed, and I think, well,
So-
there's no business there. I'm talking about on the very south end of Schoolhouse Road where we do have, let's say where the froth is, where the cleaners is, where other businesses are, so they can remain open.
That's correct. Is in the past the way it worked is the really only time they cross the actual road is just south of Lewis Lane. So technically the road is open from Schoolhouse up to that point. So people from Lewis Lane will have full access to that. There is only a very small amount of houses that are along that, and that's typically have not been an issue to coordinate with them. On the return leg, as they come back, they utilize a single lane, and typically we can keep the other lane for if we had a few people in that time frame that needed to utilize those other businesses.
And they'll stay on the tap itself, on the trail?
Typically on the return back, so the tap trail will be one direction, and one lane of Schoolhouse Road will be the return.
Okay. And they'll have monitors out there to
Yes, Public Works
manage
will
or stop traffic or something?
Absolutely. Yeah, Public
Very
Works
good.
will handle the traffic control during that.
Probably contractors working on school too.
What's that?
Contractors are working on the school modification, maybe.
I haven't seen them, but they should be contacted and notified.
We can definitely contact and let them be aware that they don't typically work on Saturday either, but
Yeah.
we will make sure that they're aware of that.
Very good point. Councilmember Rob. Now I'll call for the question again. Been motioned and seconded to approve the closure as requested for the Haslet Hustle. Unless there's any further discussion, any other questions? All right, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Council. 9E, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act on a recommendation for a final plat of Lot 1R, 2R, and 3R, Block 1 of Schoolhouse Road 156 corner, being a replat of Lots 1 and 2, Block 1 of Schoolhouse 156 corner, being 2.9 acres, located at the intersection of FM 156 and Schoolhouse Road in the city of Haslet, Texas. Presentation, please.
I think I can take this. This item is to create a third lot on the pie-shaped piece of property that fronts Schoolhouse Road and FM 156. It's originally only lot 1R, 2R, but they've added a third lot called 3R. This item went to the Planning Zoning Commission, was approved unanimously, and is recommended the council also approve the plating item.
Any questions for Mr. Quinn? If not, we can go to the public hearing. I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:58 p.m. on this item. Is there anybody that wishes to speak? Mr. Lee?
Oh, excuse me. Thank you. I think everybody knows me, but I'm Wayne Lee, and I own this property. By the way, I got some new hearing aids, and they're not working very good. I'm just trying to figure out on the motion just before. Are we going to still have access that Saturday to our building? Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I thought that was the case, but I'm having a hard time hearing. I'm going to have to call my doctor and say, well, these hearing aids don't work very good. So, Mr. Quinn, I think explained it, but when we planted that, you'll see there's a large area that what I call is below the viaduct that's there. And back then, we had no idea of course, that that viaduct will be coming down. We think in about 2.5, 3 years, something in that time frame. And so I wanted to create that lot, because otherwise, if I were to ever sell that, either one of those other lots with that, it would just never get used. And when that comes down, it should be a really good place, maybe even for City Hall, who knows. So, that maybe explains what we're doing. We're not taking any more land. We're just making 3 lots out of 2. And in the future, that should help that 3rd lot be usable. Does that make sense somewhat? Okay. Any questions for me on that? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Anybody else like to speak to this topic? If not, I'll close the public hearing at 8:01 p.m. Discussion, council. Anything for staff or even Mr. Lee? All right then, let's go to item 4. Consider an action on recommendation. If you're so moved, a motion would be in order.
I move that we approve the final plat as presented. Final plat of lot 1R, 2R, and 3R, block 1 of Schoolhouse, 156 corner.
A motion has been made to approve the plat as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any other further discussion? I call for the vote. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. Thank you, Mr. Lee. 9F, discuss, consider, and act to schedule a public hearing on the proposed 2021-2022 budget for August 9th, 2021. Ms. Lamb?
Yes, this was on the budget calendar, and this is in order to meet the calendar requirements for exceeding the voter approval tax rate, which is anticipated with the budget that has been presented we would do, calling for an election on November 2nd. So in order to meet the timelines for calling the election and having all of our ducks in a row budget-wise, we would need to schedule the public hearing on the proposed budget for August 9th.
Is there any questions that council you can commit to that date? Can you? We'd like to know that you can commit to the date now or not, and if not, then we'll need to consider another date. What? Yes, there'll be a special meeting. Yes. So there again, very good point. Is 4 of you need to be here. So I need a verbal confirmation at least that you can make this. Well, you know, that's part of approving this date. We're committing to it. You can make it. You can. Very good. So August 9th sounds like a good date. If that's so, then could we have a motion?
I move to schedule a public hearing for the proposed 2021-2022 budget for August 9th, 2021.
Motion is made to approve and adopt the public hearing for August 9th, 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you, council. I do want to take, while we're on the budget calendar, is there a calendar behind this page right here? Do we have a calendar? So we have the 9th. We got 3 meetings. We got 4 meetings that month, and all on Mondays.
On August the 2nd, you have a meeting at which you will have a resolution to accept the certified tax roll. We should be getting that tax roll from the county on the July the 26th.
Okay,
Then-
what date is that meeting accepting the tax roll?
August the 2nd,
Okay, August the 2nd,
and that's a regular meeting.
at a regular city council meeting.
And then on August 9th, in addition to having the budget hearing that night, you will also have a presentation of the tax rate calculations and discussion on those. And those are the no new revenue rate, the voter approval rate, the de minimis rate, and the no new revenue M&O rate, and the debt rate. And so you will receive those calculations and know what those rates are at that meeting. You'll have the budget hearing, and then you will also, on that date, set the proposed tax rate. And then you will set dates for the tax rate hearing and the tax rate adoption. And this is different than approving the budget. You approve these separately. And then on August
16th is our next meeting.
August the 16th, which is a regularly scheduled meeting, you will have the tax rate hearing. You will levy the ad valorem taxes, and at that, even though this is a regular meeting, you have to have 60% of the council members to levy the ad valorem taxes. You have to have a record vote. And then also on that evening, you will order the automatic election for November 2nd if the tax rate you choose exceeds the greater of the voter approval rate or the de minimis rate.
So I want to take you back. So the 16th requires that we have a supermajority here, 4 of you here. So we need some real high comfort level that 4 of you are going to be here. Is anybody here anticipating not being here on the 16th? You will not be here. How about anybody else? But because whenever a a 4 or 2/3 is required, anytime you are considering the imposition of taxes. It's 2/3, isn't it? We'll need 4. Anyway, while Rob's looking that up, it still won't hurt. Or would you?
No, you're needing to under that special rule that Marcy just read said 60%. Pulled my calculator out. 60%, 5. That doesn't require the majority, but government code chapter 20 is that a special called meeting or a meeting to taxes, you have to have 1/3.
Yes.
You're correct. So
Thank you. So I need, you'll be here? You'll be here? The 16th. You'll be here. You'll be here. We got 4. Okay, everybody's witnessed this, right? If there is any doubt, you give us a heads up immediately. We'll schedule another date, like instead of Monday, we'll do Tuesday. We'll do something. It's very important that we make this. Also, that same situation exists for August the 9th, which is a meeting prior to that on a Monday. So, we need 4 of you here, guaranteed.
Yeah, you said 4.
On the 9th, I need 4. So the 9th and the 16th are imperatives.
No, 4 meetings.
Right now, I'm just talking about 4 council people for the 9th. Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we don't have any more meetings after that. The 16th, we wrap it up. So my error. 3 meetings for August. But we can have another meeting if you want one. We can meet to discuss meetings. All right, no. Well, thank you, council, very much. Please remember the 9th and the 16th, if anything happens, as soon as possible. And also, email me and whatever staff, Marcy Lamb, Jim Quinn, city secretary. That way we all got it. You know something's happening. All right? Okay. Thank you, council, again. Executive session, there's no need for that. 11, no need for that. There's nothing to take, consider, and act on executive session. 12, any future agenda items? We promise that we will have the engineer on. Scouts on it. All right. Any other items anybody might have? Okay. Item 13. Motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you very much, council. Good job. It is 8:12 p.m. and I do want to say hello to our sheriff deputies. Let me go down and visit them.
So you want me to, because I will have to on vacation.
This conference is no longer being recorded.
No, you can call in. No, we got to be present. That's right. That quorum has to be present. Don't worry about it. Thank you all very much. Good job.